good afternoon, class. I trust you are all doing well. Yeah, this afternoon we just want to look at the concept of demand. And basically look at the definition of demand, the law of demand and demand schedule, and also look at the demand curve, determinants of demand, types of demand, exceptional demand curves, and end with changes in demand versus changes in quantity demanded. First of all, I want to look at the definition of demand. So, when you talk of demand, demand is the amount of a commodity that consumers are willing and able to buy at a given price at a given period of time. The quantity or the amount of a commodity that consumers are willing and able to buy at a given price at a given period of time. So this means that demand basically depends on two main variables. One, the willingness of the consumer, and then the ability to buy the commodity at a given period of time. So demand here means effective demand. Effective demand means that the willingness or the desire to buy the commodity is backed by ability to pay. Is backed by purchasing power, and that is effective demand. Sometimes people will say, oh, say, I want it, but I don't have money. No, that is not effective demand. Effective demand means that you have the willingness to buy and the ability to pay. So, let me ask this question. You want to buy a phone. You want to buy a phone now. You have not yet bought it. But if you get it now, you buy it. Is that demand? Oh, yes, that is demand. So what we have to know is that demand is not what has been bought, but then what we are willing and able. So meaning that so far as you have the money to buy the phone and the willingness to buy it, although you have not bought it, it's still demand, because when you get it now, you buy it, and that is demand. So let us get that understanding very clearly. Okay, so at this juncture, we'll talk about the law of demand. The law of demand. So, the law basically states that at higher prices, less is bought. But then at lower prices, more is bought. Ceteris paribus. Ceteris paribus. So ceteris paribus implies that under normal circumstance, all other things being equal, consumers will demand more when prices are low, but then they will demand less when prices are high. And that's is what the whole idea of demand is about. That when prices are high, consumers will demand less. But when prices are low, they will demand more. And that is what demand is all about. From the law of demand, we obtain what we call a demand schedule. A demand schedule. In fact, we can have an individual demand schedule, a market demand schedule, but mostly in economic theory, individual demand schedule is not very relevant. So now let's look at the market demand schedule. So market demand schedule, which technically we say is the horizontal summation of all individual demand schedules, is simply a table showing the various quantities that would be bought at various prices. The various quantities that consumers would buy at various prices constitutes what we call the market demand schedule. So as you can see from the table, at the price of 1, consumers will be willing to demand 25 units. At the price of 2, they'll be willing to demand 20 units or 20 pieces per week. At the price of 3, they'll demand 15, and so on, and so on. But what is the observation? The most important observation here is that as the price is decreasing, the quantity demanded is what? Increasing. But on the other hand, as price is rather increasing, the demand is rather what? Decreasing. And that summarizes the relationship between price and quantity. And that is what we call a market demand schedule. So psychologically, we've been preparing demand schedules all the time. You are going to the market, you are sending your daughter, your son to the market to go and buy, let me say, yam, some tubers of yam for you. You don't know the price per tuber, but then assuming you have 50 cedis, then you can say that, oh, then if the price is 10 cedis per tuber, then you can buy 5. On the other hand, If the price is 25 cedis per tuber, then you can buy 2. But maybe 50 cedis per tuber, then you can buy what? 1. This is a demand schedule. So psychologically, you have been preparing demand schedules all the time. Now, graphing the market demand schedule. When you graph the market demand schedule, you obtain a downward sloping curve, which is the market demand curve as seen on the screen. So the market demand curve slopes downwards from left to right. And as you can see, at higher prices, demand is low. But then when the price is decreasing, coming down, then quantity demanded is rather what? Increasing. So it means that the relationship between price and quantity demanded is inverse. It's inverse. Or demand and price are what? Inversely related. And this means that the graph will be a downward sloping one, and that is the market demand curve. So the market demand curve slopes downwards from left to right. Thank you very much for your attention.